Now, Porig, you're on an island. Do you know where the Faroe Islands are?
Well, I looked them up earlier today, so it's kind of halfway between Scotland and Iceland in the middle of nowhere.
I asked one of my friends where they were. He said, aren't they off the coast of Africa? I was like, no, it's up north. And that leads us to our first topic of the day. Should the Faroe Islands participate in Eurovision? And the reason we bring this up is because Icelandic blogger Kristen, she noticed that in the Faroese news publication Portal, the Minister of Education revealed that the Faroe Islands had applied for membership to the EBU back in 2010, which would of course pave the way to Eurovision participation. Apparently there's a lot of enthusiasm on the island, but judging from the comments on our website, there's not as much enthusiasm from our readers. Angus, should the Faroe Islands be allowed to participate?
No, because I think then you just get a snowball effect of everyone wanting to compete, because then it's like Scotland and Wales sending independent acts, and you've got like the Balearic Islands, the Canary Islands, like all these different regions entering, and then it'll just be too big. Like we can't have like 60 nations competing. This isn't the World Cup. We can't like manage all the... Think how long we'd have to have like 3 semi-finals, and that's just like a logistical nightmare. And I just, no.
I suppose we should just clarify before we move on that the Faroe Islands are part of Denmark, though it's considered like a sovereign territory. Like they're in control of most domestic matters, but they're not in control of military, foreign policy, policing, etc. Chris?
Yeah, no, they shouldn't be in Eurovision. That's the long and short of it. I can kind of understand it from the standpoint of the people that want, as many countries as possible. Let's have a great, big, grand old Eurovision Song Contest. But this isn't an online music competition like we have seen before, where they've got, like, every single place that you could ever have. It opens the door for so many other places. Fair enough, the Faroe Islands do have their own music scene. And it's not like it's just like it would be an offshoot, so it wouldn't be like Spain and Catalonia, for example. That would be exactly the same thing. Faroe Islands, slightly different, and they have their own language and all that. But no, it's just it's another step too far for me.
I think if they want to come, they should be let, because they're quite autonomous. They have a bigger population than San Marino, and it's not a case of, say, Faroe Islands join and every region will be like, oh, we want to go and join too, because San Marino's a microstate, and yet I don't see Andorra and Monaco banging down the door being like, let us in, let us in. They stepped away. So why would all these regions that are expressing no interest at the moment suddenly decide, well, Faroe Islands are there and we're going to be copycats and we're going to march into Eurovision too? Because people are complaining then that Eurovision is struggling, because even though we had 40 this year, the numbers, people are suggesting that the numbers could go down again, and it's still not as high, say, as back in 2009 or 2011. So, yeah, I'd say let them come.
Oh, and I also feel like most territories don't have the resources of, say, an Australia. So we don't have to worry about, I don't know, the Falkland Islands or French Polynesia sending a bunch of people to Europe to compete in this singing contest. Like, it's not high on their priority list. I'd advocate letting the Faroe Islands in kind of on an Australia basis, aka as a one-off, just to build some hype. Obviously, it won't be as much hype because some people think the Faroe Islands is off the coast of Africa. But, it adds more flavor to the contest. Something else I would point out is that they have some great musicians and, like, some great events. This G Festival, I was doing some Googling, y'all, and they have this big old festival with 5 concert stages with some saunas. I could party with them. And, of course, the headline act in Wikipedia is Natasha Bedingfield. Then again, if that's the best they can do, we don't have to fear the threat of the Faroe Islands. In any case, I know you guys are big Faroe Islands music buffs. Who do you think could sing for the Faroe Islands at Eurovision?
So Linda Andrews, who won X Factor Denmark in the second season, she's pretty good, actually, and fun Eurovision connection, so her claim to fame, she sang backing for Hannah Mancini in 2013 from Slovenia.
And that went really well.
I mean, that's a glittering reference on her, like, career CV or whatever. And yeah, because she did some great covers. I mean, Natasha Bedingfield, Johan Go, she covered Unwritten on the X Factor, she did Mercy by Duffy, she did stuff like The Supreme, so she's got some big old lungs on her. And I mean, Lisa Angel showed how not to do middle-aged at Eurovision, but I feel like Lisa Andrews could bring it.
Is Lisa Andrews still a known entity in Denmark?
Linda Andrews, even. I can't remember her name. That's how great she is. She's fantastic. Yeah, she's great. Her album went like top 3 in Denmark when she dropped it after X Factor, so she's like a big deal. She could do it. Do it for the middle-aged women.
Fantastic, Chris.
So the one that there's been a couple that I know. There's Brando Eni, who was in Melodifestivalen in like 2008 or something, I think. But he is quite well known in Sweden. He's duetted with Molly Sandén before. He's got a few good songs. He's got a good song called "Sometimes Truth Needs a Lie," which is quite fun. There's also obviously Eyþór Pálsdóttir, who is
obviously.
Yeah. Well, I've heard of her at least. Like,
who is that?
Yeah, no, but there's a couple of good acts. Their music scene, they have their own, but it's very otherworldly would be a nice way of putting it.
Sometimes truth needs a lie. Porrig. Sometimes Eurovision needs the Faroe Islands.
Yeah, well, when you type in Google or YouTube and type in famous Faroese musicians, you have to wade through a lot of old men before you come to the good stuff. But I came across this girl, she's called Greta Svabo Beck, and she's actually quite a big deal. She's duetted with Deadmau5. He's an American DJ. The song charted in the Billboard Top 100, and it's called Raise Your Weapon, 45 million views on YouTube. She's written a song for Cher. She's done a duet with the Bloody Beetroots. They seem to be a big deal judging by YouTube views. And she's kind of reminds you of maybe Ellie Goulding mixed with Lena, mixed with Anna Rossonelli, kind of Laura Marling, kind of folk electronica kind of mixed together. But it's really, really good.
Did you say Lena or Lena?
Lena.
Oh, I thought you meant the Chinese tennis player. I was like, what kind of music is she making?
Grunting or something going on.
What's happening? Now, my choice is Byrta. That's Byrta. They're a duet. And this kind of gets to what Chris was talking about new age. I mean, this duet is very like Björk meets The Sounds, that Swedish rock group. It's just, I can't even describe it. I just know it's amazing. Because people up north, they are otherworldly. They are magical. Like, you could just see the Aurora Borealis going off when they sing. This post, or the song, is actually in the post we have on Wooey Blogs. They have a song called Ministu, which means do you remember, and I do remember. I mean, you get the sense that the Faroe Islands does have a very modern, like, production, like, facility. I don't know if I'm speaking proper English, but people on that island can produce. It's almost Nordic in its music. It's so modern, so now, like Margaret Berger, etc. No, I'm feeling it. I would love to have them as a guest act after going through this music catalog. But you all seem skeptical.
No, make them permanent.
No.
Yes. See, they're just British, and they had the whole Scottish scare, and that's why they're not part of the autonomous region.
Too many open wounds. But I've got to say, like, it's interesting. Kristen's pointed out that Faroese artists have been more active in the Icelandic national selection than the Danish one. I wonder if that's because it's less competitive, and so it's easier to get into the selection in Iceland, or if Danes, because they are, I won't say colonizers, they are, the sovereigns, if you will. They don't want to see the client state territory rise up.
But then you see Linda Andrews won X Factor Denmark, so popular competitions can be won by the Faroese. And I just think, like, the EBU shouldn't waste time on finding new countries when there are old countries who did well and could be, like Andorra, Monaco, we mentioned earlier, as Mike states who aren't interested. Why isn't the EBU trying to get them back? Luxembourg, equally, or like Liechtenstein. Like, there are
but the EBU isn't wooing the Faroe Islands. The Faroe Islands have said that they're interested, and their minister. So the EBU isn't there knocking, come on over. So
I'm just saying,
you aren't spending any money.
I would rather have Andorra and Monaco back way before we bring the Faroe Islands in.
You know what? I want enthusiasm. You've got the BBC. They're like, oh yeah, we'll go. We'll send some crap. The Faroe Islands, they want to bring it. They want to put in the effort. They want to do a good job. So why not let the people who can elevate the contest elevate the contest?
Precisely.
Amen.
Yeah.